back to my personal story. I had fallen away from the faith, but in college I started to come back. And while I gave some great examples of how the two are not opposed and how science and faith can actually work together, it wasn't any of those kinds of arguments that brought me back to the church, that brought me back to God. Rather, it was my own unhappiness, my own loneliness, my own desperation. I was working as an undergraduate research assistant at Missouri Science and Technology, and it was during the summer. All my friends had gone home. I was very lonely. I was very unhappy. I was very upset. This took place for a number of weeks. And so I did something that I hadn't done in a very long time. And that was, I prayed. And at the beginning of that prayer, I was kind of like uncertain, not entirely sure. Like, is there even really a God listening to me right now? But as I was praying, I was becoming even more confident in my prayer, even more sincere in my prayer. It was like as I was praying, God was strengthening me with His grace. And by the time I finished my prayer, by the time I had surrendered myself to the Lord, a peace came over me that I can't exactly explain where it came from. And I had asked for God to intervene in my life, to change it, to make it different, because I was so unhappy with the way that it was at that time. And He certainly did. I started having strange thoughts, like, go to Mass. I had been in college for a couple of years by that point. It had never occurred to me that I should do that. And other thoughts like, go to the Catholic Newman Center. Again, that is not something that I would have thought of, even though I would walk past it every day to go from my dormitory to the campus. So that seems to imply that, that's God inspiring this thought, bringing me closer to Him by guiding me through such inspiration. And I was all afraid and uncertain. It's like, I don't know when to sit and stand at Mass. I don't know anybody there. I don't know that I want to do that. But I told you I would follow your lead, and I think you're telling me to do this, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. And I did. And it was awesome. And I went to the Catholic Newman Center, and I started to develop new friendships, and my faith life really started to take off. And so I had a personal relationship with God from that moment, but also God, through that personal relationship, drew me to a relationship with Him through the community, drew me into a relationship with Him through the Catholic Church. And so as I was going deeper into the faith, some of the questions that I had from middle school started to be answered because I was finally able to look in places where those answers were being made available. And so it seems to me that oftentimes people start to think that the faith is unreasonable because they have questions. They see what appears to be discrepancies between what the church teaches or what the faith says and what they see in the scientific community and what they see in other places. And I think the problem is that they start to think that the faith is unreasonable and they start to doubt it because they're not getting the answers to their questions. Because these reasons for how there's not a discrepancy aren't being given to them. They're not aware of them. And I think that if we started to talk about the faith more often with each other, if we started to be more willing to actually voice the difficulties we're having in our faith, the appearances of these conflicts, so that we can find these answers, I don't think so many people would think that there actually is a divide anymore.